Doesn't even go to assist or help or none of that. Doesn't even, just goes back in the crib, he said, and went back to sleep. Meanwhile, a few hours later, their investigation is done. They know who did it. They have the person who allegedly did it, Miss Karen Reed, whom now they're, upon gathering all this evidence, they get these little, you know, those little ping pong ball cups, the red cups that you have at parties, and you put the drinks in them, pong, and you play pong ball. They take and use these pong balls from a neighbor that lives next door from this 30-year police detective, retired, house. His neighbor says, you got anything we can use to capture the blood in the snow? There's a little bit of blood out here. They put the blood in the cups. In the cups. They scoop the blood up with the plastic cups and then put them in a little brown paper bag, like the market bags. Ship that off to the lab. We're going to investigate that and see whose DNA it is, etc. Meanwhile, this is the funny stuff. This dude, they said, looked pummeled. In fact, her lawyer, Alan Jackson, shout out to you, my man. Dude says he looked like he went 10 rounds with Mike Tyson. There's no way that this dude was hit with a glass, and then this story evolves sometime later, weeks, months maybe, after all the snow dries up. I think it was several months later. One of Canton's police, just a regular old patrolman, is driving by the guy's house, the scene, happens to be driving by and says he sees the rear light, the right rear light broken off out on the lawn, pieces, shattered pieces, like 25 pieces they find of what is her car, a Lexus from that car. And then when they go to that car, the first night, she's saying, remember, she's saying, oh my God, I hit him, I must have hit him, blah, 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 blah. Did I hit him? I don't know. Oh my God, she like she's lost. She's thinking, I mean, I don't know what she's thinking, but to say all that, and then she goes, they finally charge her with, first it was I think it was it was like a low charge, like a hit and run or something like that, accidental death. And then after months later, the DA gathers this evidence, sees the tail light and all that is broken on her car, from the back of her car, is broke, is consistent with what this dude now finds, which she says in the beginning from the cameras. She's talking to one of the police officers and they charging her with this like hit and run. And she's like, yeah, like sarcastically, like, yeah, right. Like, this is a joke. Is this really happening? My man John's dead and he's found out on the lawn and my tail light is broke. That's what she's saying it like. Okay, fast forward 2.5 years later, they're going to trial. Okay, they're going to trial. The defense, Miss Karen Reed, is going to trial. So she got two really good high-profile lawyers, which is why I said in the beginning of this video, the father looked like somebody not to play with. You got Alan Jackson, who is considered one of the notorious best, brutalist cross-examiners in the country. And another guy, Ionetti, who's another great high-profile attorney. They hired two. So these people now say, they look at all the evidence and they say this guy was not consistent. The injuries sustained thereafter, after examining, investigating, is not consistent with a hit and run, being hit by the back of a car going backwards. Mind you, suddenly the DA comes up with this story to which the guy who owns the house, whose the body was found on the lawn, all their kids and their wives and husbands, it's a big family tree of them. Whole bunch of these privileged Irish folks, what have you, Italian, whatever. I think they're Irish out there. They're all saying, basically, like, this woman, Karen Reed, well, the DA says they upgraded the charges to murder, manslaughter, second-degree manslaughter or murder, something like that, and then leaving the scene. They're saying she was drunk that night. She was so drunk, she didn't know and realize that she backed into her boyfriend of 2 years, whom which he wanted to go to the after party after being invited. The girl, wifey, didn't want to go. She was tired. She really didn't want to go, which is why she says she was out there in the car originally, waiting for him. He goes in, she says, pulls up to the house. He gets out, goes in. She's texting him, like, yo, you good? Everything all right? I can leave, right? She gets no response. So after like something like 10, 15, 20 minutes waiting, she takes off, goes home, sleeps till 5, wakes up, her man's not there, comes back out, calls her girls. They go looking for him. She's the one who finds his body out there on the lawn. Meanwhile, all the people in the party, there's some like, I don't know, some like 50 people or 20-something people that people that was there at the party, the after party, okay? Remember, it was snowing, it was a blizzard. Things was closing early, but they were all left. They said they left the bars around 11:30, 12 a.m. This is after this. The body's found and examined and all this and that, and they're trying to figure it out. This is some time after that this story is now evolved of, hey, nobody saw nothing. People were coming and going and picking kids up. Well, not kids, they're like 20 years old, 19, 20, 22, 21, young adults. Right? People were picking up their sisters and their boyfriends and girlfriends, and their moms and dads were picking their kids up from the after party, and nobody saw this body, 6'2" guy out there anywhere on the lawn. So now they're at trial and they're examining them and they're giving testimonies. Everybody's testimony, which is related to the head honcho, 30-year police chief, retired officer, whose house the body was found at, and his kids, etc., all the way down, daughter, son, brother, cousins, brother's kids, cousins, wife's kids, right? They're all friends in this little neighborhood, and they all go to the parties for years. So they all know each other. But they didn't know Karen Reed, because she came only 2 years ago, or 3 years ago. I don't know exactly what it was, but it was some short time. And she came, so she wasn't really tight with these people like the other ones for 20 years, 30 years knowing each other. However, they're all saying that the guy, John O'Keefe, the Boston police officer whose body was found out there at 6 in the morning in a snowstorm, by his girlfriend. The body was found out on this guy's lawn. They're all saying he never came into our house. Wait a minute, we was just with him at the bar around 11:30, quarter to 12, and I invited everyone back to my house for a party, to come party. Or it might be between 10:30 and 11:30 p.m. They're closing the bars, it's light snowing out, but they're preparing, and they say, well, come back to my crib. And they all go back to the crib. Everyone meets them back at the crib. But them two, husband and wife, now testimony says that they went up in the house and went to bed. All the kids are there, the cousins, the family friends for years, right? Neighbors, right? They all say nobody saw nothing out there on the lawn. All the picking up and dropping off, pulling up and pulling out and all that. It was dark. It wasn't lit up nice. It was snowy out. I don't think it was really snowing hard yet to that degree to which they were leaving and being picked up, etc. But they're saying, we didn't see nothing. Yep, I left. My man picked me up. The interesting things are, where it gets funny, is the retired police chief's daughter testifies she has a boyfriend who lives in where did he say he lived? He lived in another part of Boston he lives in. So he was a snowplow driver at the time. And the girl who you see, and he says his words, she's high maintenance. Suddenly, she's at the bar with her mom and dad and O'Keefe and Karen, right? And a couple other dudes that's involved who's going to be, they're bringing in, who's suspect. Like, the dude says, well, originally, it was supposed to be me and her, the police chief's daughter, going to the after party, after the bar. He's driving her whip. She got a Jeep. He got his little truck too, but he likes to drive her Jeep, or she likes him to drive her Jeep. So he's driving her Jeep, picking her up, dropped her off. It's like an hour away or something, 20, 30 minutes away. I don't know where he lived. But he says, wait a minute, I'm going to have a long day. I'm going to be out here plowing at 3 in the morning. I got to get up for 3 in the morning. He's like, I'm not coming to the bar or the party. I can't, because I'm going to go home and rest. So she's like, all right, cool. He's like, but call me when you're done partying and I'll come pick you up. Okay. Suddenly, she leaves the bar with her parents, goes back to her parents' home where she grew up at, to where she's friends with that first responder woman, the fireman lady. Remember, they were friends. They grew up together. That woman knows this house. She knows the area and the house. She's a firewoman. She knows this is her friend's house. She gets back to her crib and texts her boyfriend at she says it's 12 something, 12:10, 12:15, whatever. She says, I understand. And that was her original story. She texted her boyfriend now after telling him, pick me up when you're done. You go home, you go to sleep, and I'll call you, I'll text you when I'm done partying, and then pick me up. And he said, all right, I'll do that. One trip, one drive. He goes home from Canton. He goes home, sleeps. Shorty's going to call him, pick her up after from her parents' house because there's an after party. However, dude ends up making 2 trips. So he drops her off at the bar, leaves, goes back home. Soon as he reaches home, he comes all the way back immediately. Soon as he touches down, he's getting a text, a call, come pick me up. Sooner than what we planned. Nobody thinking nothing of it. Picks her up. She walks out the crib. Goes home. Everyone goes to sleep. Next day, people wake up. All of a sudden, there's a body. It's Mr. O'Keefe's on the lawn. So, initially, none of these people that's at the party wants to talk to the defense's investigators. You know, when there's a crime committed, you got the state and then you got the defense, right? Defendant. To whom, if there's a trial, your attorney that you hire has to do investigations by law, right? And not all that costs money and all that, but that's a whole nother thing. But point I'm making is they send out their investigators now to all these innocent, privileged kids, cops' kids, and none of them, and their friends, and their friends' friends, and none of them want to talk to the defense's investigators about what they saw, what they didn't see, what they may have saw, etc., 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 etc. So they're sending out, the lawyers are sending out their investigators. Go see this one, go see that one, go see this kid, go see that kid. They all decline to talk to the defenses, but they talk to the DA, the prosecutor. Now it's evolved that they charge this woman, Karen Reed, with the manslaughter, hit and run. She hit her boyfriend. So the DA now says, from where the house was and the body was, it was some like 64 feet away. So here's the house. Here's the street. By the way, the street kind of curves and turns, right? It's a little turn. So it goes like this and it turns. So here's the house. If you're going down the street and it turns, you're going down the street and it turns, right? It kind of turns a little. Here's the house, the front of the house. His body's found like way over here. Way down here, 64 feet. So they're saying, and they now have witnesses, all the kids and the friends and the cousins and the boyfriends, girlfriends, and the wives and the husbands and the wives, all this related to this cop, 30-year detective. They're all related, friends and family. They're all now saying that they saw a black SUV outside between the hours of 12 a.m. and the time they left. Some were leaving at 1:30 a.m. Some were leaving at 1 a.m. Some say they left at 12:30 a.m. Some say they left at 11:30 p.m. But nonetheless, nobody saw the body, but people saw her SUV outside way down there where the body was found. Parked, lights on, just like she said. She was waiting for her man, and she was texting him, etc. She never got a text back. Never got nothing like, yeah, I'm good, baby. Go ahead, go home. I'll come back later and get me, whatever. She says she drops him off like around 11:30, 11:45. They do their investigation now. They say the dude was dead between 12 a.m. and like 1:30 a.m., 2 a.m. Let's just say that for a better timeline. Easier to kind of gauge. 12 a.m. to 2 a.m., this guy was dead. This is when he was found, like he could have was dead, right? Based off of the research and etc. You know, they can tell you when you actually died, right? So they're saying that the incident happened where she reversed, going 24 miles an hour, boom, hits him. He falls over on the lawn and is out there. Doesn't realize she hit him in reverse because she was drunk, drinking and driving, and takes off, goes home, sleeps it off, wakes up, looking for him, goes out there and finds him and is like, oh my God, what the, you know, and then suddenly she starts thinking and they start kind of alluding like, yeah, like you're the last person to see him alive, so like what happened? And then she's like, oh my God, I must have hit him, blah, 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 blah. And none of the police officers and no one wants to assist and help and come out and none of this and that and all the kids and nobody. But remember now, between the time that they're saying he was hit by the car out there on the lawn dead, all these kids, young adults, are coming in and out. They, brother and sister, he's like, yeah, come pick me up. All right, I'm coming. I'll be there in a few minutes because it's about to snow. I'm going to pick you up. Sister comes out. They start talking. She's like, why don't you and your mans come in to the party? It's only like 12 a.m. Still early. Homeboy's like, looks at his man. They're like, nah, we got to get up. They got to go plowing or something like that. They got to work. So they're like, nah, we good. He tells his little sister, all right, well, text me when you're really ready to come home now. Okay. So that's fair. Takes off. They don't see nobody out there on the lawn. They don't see nothing suspicious or out of the ordinary. But that little sister there, now, 2.5 years later, when this is the most highest profile case right now on TV, all over all the televisions, national, little Dedham, Massachusetts, Canton, Massachusetts, Boston police officer, body found dead outside another police or retired police officer's home. This young lady, who was like a good friend with this police officer of 30 years retired's son when they were younger. And she done did some dog sitting for these people and she did some, I guess, some babysitting or house sitting or something like that. I don't know what that rich shit is about, but damn. So she doesn't want to talk to the defense investigators, and she for surely talked to the prosecutors. She says nothing of the sorts to her testimony. She says she didn't see anything initially. All right? So now, when she's talking to the prosecutors, the DA, they're sending their investigators out or come to the DA's office and we need to interview you, see what you saw, didn't see, whatever. She don't say nothing. She said, I didn't see nothing. I don't know nothing. I didn't see nothing. I went out there. I talked to my brother for like 5 minutes. Went back in. Like an hour or something later, called my brother to pick me back up. I didn't see nothing. However, right there, pause. When she says the second time around on the pickup, she now currently, 2.5 years later, never said this before. In all these years, this case is profiled all over the TVs, everywhere. Newspapers, radio, everywhere. So if you don't know about it, now you do. Boston police officer found dead on another police officer, Canton, retired detective in Canton, Massachusetts, Boston, Massachusetts, Canton, Massachusetts, same state, different cities. Boston different than Canton. This is a retired police and detective of 30 years that this now Boston 17-year veteran or 16-year veteran his body's found dead on their lawn. She now says, this little girl, she's like 22, 3, 4 years old right now. But when she was like 17, 18, 19, 20, during this incident happening and everyone learning that this guy was found dead, she doesn't say nothing. She waits until all the TV coverage is on her and she's prime time television. The cameras are all on you. All the media stations, the High, CNN, Nationals, all these news, all the news is on it. Court TV, they're all on it. All the cameras are there, all the media is there. This girl now says 2.5 years later, unexpectedly, the DA, maybe they knew, maybe they didn't, but unexpectedly to the defense and everyone else, that she said, oh, I remember when I was leaving the house, when my brother came back for the second time to pick me up finally to bring me home, I do remember seeing something down over there near the street curb where they now found his body. She said, I remember seeing something that looked a little out of the ordinary, suspicious, whatever. And the defense is like, well, what'd you see? She's like, I saw like a black blob, it looked like. They're like, what? When? She's like, oh, when I was leaving, I told you my brother came once. I invited him in. He said no. They're cool. Call me when you're ready to come home for real. Skied off. She, an hour later, something, calls him, texts him, come get me. I'm ready. They go back and pick her up right there. And they're pulling away. She says, I saw something, which is a black blob. And I did say in the car with my brother, his friend, homeboy, and then the brother's girlfriend was there, and her. 4 of them. She says, I said during that moment, oh my God, I saw something over there on the lawn. And then the brother's girlfriend says, what? 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 And she's like, oh, never mind. And then the next day they wake up and they find out there was a dead body on this lawn. Right in the area, which now she's claiming, she says she saw something. But the initial investigations, she never stated that. She said she never saw anything. All the investigators, she said she didn't see anything. It was only until the day that she's being on trial as a witness that she says, I saw a black blob out on the lawn and I just never really paid much attention because I didn't think nothing of it. And then after learning the next day that there was a dead body out there, I still didn't think anything of it. It was only now, 2.5 years later, that you got me up here and I'm testifying under oath that I can remember now that, oh, yeah, I did see something, which is a black blob, out there on the lawn when I was leaving and my brother picked me up. Wait, what? Meanwhile, the defense is going over all these questions. They're like basic questions. She's sitting there saying, I don't know, I don't remember, I can't recall. Mind you, that's what all of them say. This is their response to the defense. All these young kids that are related. Brothers, sisters, cousins, brothers, sisters, cousins of this brother, sister, best friends growing up with each other, friends of friends of friends. They all grew up together, right? 20-some years. High school together, graduated together, party together. All their responses are, they answer all the questions for the DA, but the response for the defense is, I don't know, I can't recall, I don't recall that, I don't remember that, I can't remember that, I mean, it was so long ago, I don't remember, I don't know, I don't recall, I don't know. I don't recall. Nope, I didn't see that. Nope, I didn't see nothing. Like, wait, what? This is stuff that they already, when this first evolved, they already testified to and under oath. They already went into a grand jury's room, because what happened was, this is where I say the father's connected, Karen Reed. He's like a man, I won't say connected, but he's the man who knows his shit. And he said, I ain't going for that. They're not framing my daughter, not on my watch. And he has to be a respectable man, because they done got the feds involved. Do you know what it takes for a Fed agent to get involved with any case? They're like 85, 90% success rate when they get involved. So they start investigating these people, these kids who their father's a 30-year detective over there in Canton, and the brothers, they're all related. They're all related to this cop, retired detective, and mother, father, wife. So the feds now are secretly investigating, quietly investigating. So they bring them all in as witnesses in the grand jury court secretly, and they all testified to. I didn't see nothing. I didn't see nothing. Nope. I didn't see anything. I did this and that and left. Nope. Did you see the Karen Reed and the boyfriend were fighting? Were they ever mad at each other? Were they ever in any kind of like strange, weird arguments or whatever? Unhappiness or whatever? Nope. 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 Nobody saw nothing of that sort. Okay, so you fast forward all that till today. Update. Today, currently. What is it? May 15th? 16th. Thursday, May 16th. They have, the trial has been going on, and they have what is one of the star witnesses. This is crazy. Listen to this. So now, they discover upon their private investigating, the feds do their investigating, and then the attorneys are doing their investigating. The attorneys are the ones who now discover this was a framing. This was a setup. Like, this retired cop is related to all these witnesses. They all grew up together for like over 20 years. They all went to high school together. They were mashing each other. Like, and the girl who now, 2 years later, on the witness stand, who never said anything at first, now unexpectedly says she saw a black blob. She was the girlfriend of the guy who owns the house, the lawn, the 30-year retired police chief officer, detective, his son. She was his boyfriend at some young ages, grade school, 12, 13 years old. So the funny thing is, during all these investigations, it wasn't until 7 months later, 7 months, nobody, none of them, there's like 50 of them they investigated. Everyone who was at the party, everyone who was at the bars, everyone who came to the after party, none of them say that their brother, his name is Colin, is it Colin McCabe, whatever, Colin McCabe. That's the police 30-year retired son. Nobody says that this kid was around. They hide it for 7 months. So in all the reports and investigations, nobody says that this kid Colin, oh yeah, he was at the party too. Because when you do investigation, you go and you research and you ask a person, what did you see? Okay, who was there? They start naming people. Well, I saw this one, that one, this one, that one, this one, that one. Now, depending on what it is, do they have to, talk? They don't really have to talk, but they're talking to the prosecutor, DA. So they're reporting to the DA saying, yeah, I saw this, I didn't see that, I saw this, I didn't see that, this one was there, that one was there, this one was there, that one was there, that one was there, this one was there, this one and this one and this one, this one. They never say that the guy's son is there. Now, this gets to get even funnier. Today, the defense, this is why I said these guys are amazing, because they did all their research and investigation, and they say it's a frame. Now, it's not hard to think. Is it a frame? It's a frame. Especially when you start hearing this. When you start hearing this, you're like, what? First, 7 months, nobody said nothing about this kid, Colin Albert. I'm sorry, his name Colin Albert. Colin Albert. Okay? Father's Robert Albert. 30-year police, retired. Canton. No, even he doesn't submit that his son was at this party. His own house party. The friends, all that. Nobody says that this kid was here. They hid it for 7 months. And suddenly, this is where they find that this kid, Colin Albert, was actually at this party too. But nobody said nothing. And why? Why wouldn't you say he was there too, like you did for everybody else? Dun, 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 dun. Now, this kid is like 20-some years old. He's 20 years old right now. At the time that this happened, he was like 17, 18, right? And in court today, well, even 7 months later, when they finally discover that he was there, they're saying that the guy who's investigating is a setup too. He's part of the crew, the investigator. He investigates these kids, this retired detective's kids. He don't bring them in an interrogation room. He don't treat them like a suspect. None of that. He just says, meet me over here. Makes them feel all nice and comfortable. Interviews them. Interviews all the kids. Closes the investigation. There's no evidence tying anyone to anything. Except now the defense comes in and they find out that they hid this kid. And why wasn't nobody there to, nobody saying that he was there for 7 months? And then they'll do no extraction of his phone. Come to find out, his sister, younger, or was she older? I don't know, I'm not sure. But his sister picked him up that night that the body was found. So how I told you they all said they left at 12:30, 1, whatever. Well, the sister says she was at the party, she was there, etc., briefly, boom, bow, bow, and then leaves. Never says she picked her brother up at the party also, or was there with her brother at the party drinking, etc. Come to find out, this kid's like a little punk terror. Tough, kid who thinks he's a shit. They find videos of him posting drunk. He's like 17. He's like captain of the football team. And then, like a couple days, a week maybe later, he's in the bar getting drunk, making a pose like this with his two arms around his two homies, Irish kids. And 1, 2, 3, 4. All 4 knuckles are burnt up. You see how my knuckles are? See how they look? This is 30 years of boxing, fighting. See the scars? That's what his joints was like in the picture. But only they were fresh. They were fresh scab wounds. and they can only see his right hand. See, this is how God works. First, 7 months went by before anyone said anything about this kid being there. Second, he posing a picture in the bar like everything's sweet and good with his boys drunk. And these 4 little things is what got him. Not only that, but the kid is online, Snapchat, threatening people, talking about bang, bang, pull up, I'll knock you out, this, that. Then come to find out, years prior, that this kid and this guy, Mr. O'Keefe, had some little tension and squabbles because the kid was like a teenager who was like was partying a lot and was putting all the beer cans out on Mr. O'Keefe's lawns, his lawn. So Mr. O'Keefe had some sort of issues with that, and they got into it. Some are saying they didn't like each other. Now the defense is saying, well, this was a cover-up. This was a framing, and this is the evidence that the DA put in. And if not, why wouldn't you say this kid was there? Why didn't any of all the people that are witnessing for the DA, the defense, the prosecutor, none of them said anything about this kid being there that night at the party and after party? Pause. What? Nobody says this kid's there for 7 months. They got to go and research and find out, finally. And how they found out was through his sister's phone. She's texting someone at such and such time. Come to find out, she texts the brother, him. He's like 17, 18 at the time. But clearly, he was getting drunk way before that age, 18 and 20. They were getting... Because in these videos where he's threatening people online, talking about, I'll knock you out, bang, bang, this, that. Dude's captain of the football team out there. Dude says today on the stand, they ask him if he does any boxing or training, ever. Did any kind of training or boxing? He says no. No, I never boxed. I never trained. I don't do that fighting. I'm a good kid. I don't fight. I'm not a troubled kid. But the defense, Mr. Alan Jackson, clearly points out and emphasizes that you were doing some training, punching the bag, right? Don't you do that for cardio and like your health? Right? Don't you do boxing? Don't you train and like hit? He says, well, I hit the bag. Like, like I sometimes I hit the bag. Wait, what? Wait a minute. You just said you never boxed. You didn't do no training, nothing. But now you all of a sudden, now that they find out, now you're saying, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I did. I do train. I hit the bag sometimes. I go to boxing gyms and hit the bag. Okay, so now they ask him, well, your 4 wounds that are like live, these are brand new, right? And you're in a picture like a week later posing with fresh wounds. Look like you hit somebody, scraped your knuckles. Meanwhile, the bodies, remember what he says, the body was beat up, the eye sockets. Even his brother identified his body and said on the stand, under oath, he couldn't believe the size that stood out to him the most. His eyes were like the size of golf balls. His younger brother, he had to see, beat all up, nose cut, back of the head with a gash from falling, hitting the cement, they say. Then on his arm has a scrape wound It's either looks like a scrape from either a really big dog. There's like 4 lines on his arm, like the inside of his forearm. The Mr. O'Keefe, the dead body, his arm has like 4 slices. Right? It looks like he was clawed by something, or was bitten by something, or something was attempting to bite him. Meanwhile, these Mr. Albert guys, they have a very vicious canine where they have to have him locked up, and he can't be around people. Y'all ever see them dogs? Vicious and canines. You know how big their mouths are. Everybody that was at the party, they say, we didn't see the dog, and we didn't see O'Keefe come into the party. But his body's found outside my lawn at 6 in the morning with these injuries, eyes the size of golf balls, nose cut, split, head in the back or the side back kind of damaged, bruised up. He's found with 1 shoe on. 1 shoe on. Not sure if he had his jacket on or not. He's found 1 shoe on. They don't find the other shoe in that area at all, even when the snow dries and all that time. But they go back months later, and some patrolman happens to see these little red lights from the back of this woman's car out there at that scene, picks them up, collects them, and brings them in for evidence. But they still don't find Mr. O'Keefe's shoe. Where did that go? If she hit this man at that scene, backwards, like they said, she drove 64 feet going in reverse at 24 miles an hour. Hits her man, doesn't realize it, takes off, or she realized it, and then takes off, and then wakes up 4 or 5 hours later and comes out there looking for him and then finds him. But if she hit this man at that scene, wouldn't hit the shoe, the missing shoe, wouldn't that have been found somewhere in that area? Where did that go? Upon all this snow, 8 inches or something of snow out there, and the guy's found on top of the snow, with light snow on him, down towards the street area, outside this guy's lawn. Where's the shoe? You found the back light. You found little blood droplets. To another suspicious thing to me is that they saying, forensics is saying he lost is it 3 or 6 pints of blood? And these guys scooped up just a little bit of snow mixed with blood, like 6 cups, little, like this much of the blood is snow, and blood is in the, right? It's just, it's mostly snow, but there's some red blood that you see in 6 cups. They like scoop it up, scoop it up, scoop it up, scoop it up. They get the cups from a neighbor, and boom, there they go. There's their investigation. Don't find a shoe. They say he got hit by the car, but he's beat up. Eyes are the size of golf balls. I'm not trained in any of that. I'm just trained in life. Logical, common sense will tell you a car going 24 miles an hour in reverse on a curved turning street in the snow weather, snowy weather, drunk. For number one, to deliberately hit this person is like, the odds is like, no. There's no way she's going to go like this, doom, and knock him off and skate off. If they were saying, like, some stories, she was mad, they were mad at each other, they were fighting, whatever, and she reversed into him. Okay? It would be hard for a person drunk, driving, buzzed driving, to go that rate of speed and hit someone going forward. Never mind reversing backwards in a street that turns, where they're saying this man was hit, identifying the spot where he was clipped at. The back of her car hit him, and he was plopped over onto the lawn for 5.5, 6 hours, and none of these people, out of 50-some people in and out for 2-3 hours partying, none of them saw this dude when they left or came and arrived. But they saw the girlfriend SUV parked out there in that area where parked, lights on, where that body was found, where they're saying he was hit. But remember, she had to go 64 feet in reverse and clip him at a certain point and flew to another certain point. When you look at the scene, you're going to be like, logical. That's dang near impossible to be driving backwards. Some say, well, you got the reverse camera. How many of y'all pull up and try to back into a car lot, a parking spot, and reverse going 5 miles an hour, looking at that rear view mirror, and have to stop several times to straighten your wheel out, make sure the car's good, make sure you're not hitting the car next to you, or you're not like this or that, you're not driving like that, you're not gonna run into something, right? They say she was out there at a certain point, and then some time later they're looking and they see her move up. This is what the brother said to the girl, who says she saw a big black blob. Car was here, and then when they pulled up behind her, she being kind of respectable, moves her car up like 1.5 car lengths, 1 to 1.5 car lengths away from them. The sister comes out, talks to her brother, says she don't want to go, she's not ready to leave. Why don't y'all come in? They say no. Boom, she goes back in, and they go around this SUV who's parked, who moved out of their way. Where the kid said, I was in the passenger seat, and as we're driving by this black SUV that moved up 1.5 car length for us, courtesy, I saw in the car, because she had her light on. She had her dome light on. And I drove by and I saw it was a blonde-headed lady by herself. So he says by herself. The sister now says, oh, in the window while I'm waiting for my brother, I saw the SUV out there as well. And there was a woman in there, and she was by herself as well. Along with added, only 2 years later, unexpectedly added, she says, I saw, the second time my brother came to pick me up, and I came out this Albert's house, I jumped into my brother's car with his girlfriend, his homeboy, and my brother, the three of them, and I sees them, and I see something unexpectedly there, which was a black blob. But I never thought to say anything about it. Even when I woke up the next day and found out that it was a dead body on the lawn. Right? So it's really, really bizarre, really strange. But the reason I wanted to make this video was because the son, Colin Albert, who's testifying, very, very odd responding kid. Very weird, like, seemingly, just bizarre. Right? Now, here's a kid who they presented some video evidence, several different dates. Kid was in high school, senior year, junior year. 7 months ago, first, nobody even put this kid around this scene or involved. They went 7 whole months without even any one of them bringing this kid's name up. Suddenly, when they bring his name up and they start investigating, they find these videos of this kid drunk with his homeboys, talking like a gangster, talking about he gonna knock people out, bang bang, putting up like bang bang, knock out, pull up, bang bang, making gang. These are gang signs. FYI, these are gang signs, people. And he's throwing up gang signs a week after this man is found outside the lawn of his dad's house, and the 3 fresh bloody knuckles. I call them the bloody knuckles because that's what you're going to have for about 3 to 5 months. And they're going to heal like this. You're going to have little calluses like that. Because it's happened to me. That's the only reason why I know homeboy's lying. Because I've done it many times. Hitting the bag. If you hit the bag with no wraps on your hands, that's going to happen to you very likely. Okay? If you just put gauze over your hands in a boxing match, that can likely happen to you. You put tape around your hands with the gauze first. That can likely rub against that gauze, or even hand wraps. Your hands hitting something can rub against those gauze and tape and fabric, whatever the wraps are, or even if you put your hand in a glove, an MMA glove, or a boxing glove, and you're hitting the bag. That'll likely happen. Let alone if you're hitting someone with your bare hands. You're hitting someone with your bare hands, bare knuckles. That, if you're pounding something, which the defense is saying looks really consistent with the bruises and injuries that Mr. O'Keefe was found, and that they have federal agents coming in to testify, investigators who do this for a living, say and said have years and decades of experience, work, car accident scenes, professionals coming in to say that the injuries that this Boston police officer sustained upon their investigation is not consistent with being hit by a car, let alone a car going 24 miles an hour and only the back taillight is broken out. And this guy got injuries in the back side of the head, and the eyes are like golf balls, and the nose is cut, and the top of his forehead's cut. You don't need no experience, professional training, or any of that kind of education to commonly just look at that and be like, yeah, no. Let alone look at these young kids up there testifying, and it's clear they're lying, blatantly lying, under oath, and their father was lying, and he lied, and they all lied for at least 7 months when they kept his son out of the chain of people that were there and witnesses, potential witnesses. They never mentioned his 17, 18-year-old son. Why? And they just discover it. So now the kid says under oath, he's never boxed before. Come to find out, he recants and says, yeah, all right, I box, I train, I do some training. I did training sometimes for cardio. I train people for cardio boxing and been doing it for 20 years. And trust me, somebody, and I tell all these guys that, all these kids that too, young guys, young kids, the training that you're doing now, basic fundamental training of boxing, hands up, 1, 2, 1, 2, hook, you are going to have an advantage against someone that has no type of training at all. None whatsoever. You are going to have a way up leverage against someone, average Joe person, if you happen to get in a fight with them out on the street. And I get a lot of clients like that also that come to me and want to learn how to box, just to be like, okay, I want to learn how to box for the health and you know, be in shape and all that. But mainly I want to be able to be secure with myself and know I can handle myself if I ever have to fight. And I say, well, I got you. I'll teach you. And the training that we do, and I do, like I'm telling them, look, and they know the difference. They see the difference within weeks. When they first come in and they don't even know how to stand. They don't even know how to hold their hands up right. They don't know how to punch properly. This is what you got to teach them. And when you teach them, weeks later, just weeks, they're like, oh, snap. Never mind months or years. We don't know this kid was training for years. He might have been playing football in high school, rough, tough, captain. To be the captain, you got to be in charge. His father's in charge. His father was a captain of the Canton Police for 30 years, something like that. Detective. But anywho, the kid says that, and he also comes back with, how did you get those injuries when he's throwing up the gang signs and they catch him with the picture a week after Mr. O'Keefe's body's found dead? Mind you, they're investigating and they're blaming this little woman, Karen Reed, the boyfriend. She's the girlfriend of the guy. They're blaming her, but nobody says that this kid was even there, present. Nobody brings him involved. So while they're blaming, the kid got bloody knuckles. The guy's beat up, bruised up, consistent with someone attacking him. 2 guys, 3 guys, 4 guys, and a dog. Scratch, bites. They're not saying that this kid with the bloody knuckles posing, throwing up gang signs a week later in pictures in the bar, drunk, 18, 19 years old, with bloody knuckles. Nobody's saying, oh, he was there. He was there at the party too. It was not until 7 months later they find out he was there. And he's up there on the stand, which he's absolutely 100% coached and trained to respond a certain way, which is what I really wanted to highlight, his bizarre responses. It don't take someone that needs to be trained to understand and look at someone's response and body language and see if they're lying, if they're nervous, if they're afraid, if they feel choked up, if they feel like there's too much pressure going on, if they feel like, oh, I got caught lying right now. Wow. So the kid's responses is to like questions that you would already know, present, right? Like he's like saying, correct. I don't recall. I don't know. I can't remember. Can you say that again, please? Meanwhile, he's looking at the prosecutors. Right? There's signals going on between him, the sister, all the witnesses. You see them, especially the young kids who go up there and they're all nervous and their faces are red and all that. And you can just see they're all choked up and they're looking every answer, especially from the defense. When the defense is cross-examining them, They're going like this before they answer. Say correct or that's incorrect. Or I don't know. I don't remember. They're looking at the prosecutor. They're like, he's like, was you here at this time? He's like, oh yeah, correct. Was you there at this time? Correct. And then sometimes he jumps in, sustain. And the judge will say, all right, sustain, yeah. Say it again. I got to repeat the question, just a different way. So today's testimony, and then they have one other dude who took a proffer agreement with the feds. Like he's cooperating with the feds. So he's going to be testifying tomorrow. And boy, oh boy, oh boy, must have some information for you to make a deal with the feds. Remember, the feds 90% success conviction rate. And when you go to trial, you're doing 85% of that time. And if you go to trial and you waste the state's money and you don't take their deals first, their deals that they're trying to give you first, like we'll give you a plea deal. We want you to talk about this, or we want you to disclose that. We want you to help us put this other guy away, be a witness for this or that or this. And you don't take these deals with the feds and you go to trial. And it's an 85-90% success rate when they go to trial with you, against you. And you get found guilty, you're getting hung. You're literally, they're going to smoke you with the maximum jail time. For instance, if they say, look, we want you to testify against this kid or this guy, and we want you to say A, B, C, or D, so we can lock this guy up. We want this guy. But since you're involved somewhat, and you're going to testify for us to help us put this one away, we'll give you like 2 years and 10 years probation. Or we might give you just probation since you're working with us. And you're now considered an FBI agent, criminal informant, etc., aka snitch. Okay? So, now, you're like, okay, you don't take that deal? And then you go to trial and the people find you guilty? Oh, the feds are coming right in and they just take right over of the time to the judge and we recommend based off of A, B, C, and D and the crime levels of this, that, and the history of this person or the severity of the crime or this guy might have been a police officer and he ends up knowing some information and doesn't come forth with it. They're held to a higher standard. So, all right, now we want him to do like 25 years, 20 years. And then the judge will be like, all right, he's going to do like 15, 18, something. Or they say months. Like 80 months, 75 months in the federal penitentiary, right? 64 months, 54 months, stuff like that. That's how they classify. That's how they talk. You know? And you're doing 85% of that time. It's not like the states where you get parole and all that. You can do a quarter of your time. You get 10 years, you can do 2 years and get out on parole. No. And do the rest on probation, etc. No. That's not happening. With the feds, you get 10 years, you're doing like 8. So anyway, long story short, man, it's a crazy situation, and feel bad for that family because even them, they're all convinced that this woman ran their son over and the guy's brother, he's there every day at the trial, and they're convinced that she ran him over. Drunk driving and didn't know and didn't realize she reversed backwards into him. Like, in order for the dude to be hit here, right, and have scratches deep wounds just consistent with a boxing match, which is why Alan Jackson says he's consistent. It looked like he went 10 rounds with a Mike Tyson, a prime Mike Tyson. Because when Mike Tyson got through with you in 10 rounds, your face was bodily bruised up. In boxing matches, you get cut over the eyes, over the nose. You can get cut in the forehead, like right in the cheek. So they're like, this dude's 6'2", and let's just say she pulls up. He gets out the car, 6'2", all of them, the whole 6'2" of them, gets out the car and is walking, because they're all trying to put her car way down towards where the body was found. They're trying to put her car over there. They didn't see him in the car. They didn't see nothing on the lawn in the area either, though. But they see her car out there at a such and such time that they say the body was dead. Or hit, whatever. The longevity of it, they can time it and say, well, he was hit between the hours of 12 a.m. and 2 a.m. Okay. So let's just say that's go with the prosecutors, the state's theory that she pulls up, he jumps out. Now, where is it that he jumps out at, Mr. O'Keefe? Was it when this girl, the brother and sister, they said they were coming opposite direction of Karen and O'Keefe? She puts a blinker on. They let her go. She goes in front of them. They go behind her. She pulls over at the same house. They pull behind them. When they pull behind them, Miss Reed pulls up. A car and a car's length in front of him. Okay? That's why it gets funky. He pulls up. She's there. She pulls up. They pull up. And then she pulls up a little bit more so that whoever's talking here or whatever can be right outside at the driveway of this guy, Albert's, the police, 30 years, his house, and people coming and going be easier. So she does a courtesy move up for them. The girl doesn't want to leave. The sister doesn't want to leave, so they take off. 5 minutes. As they're taking off, they're driving by, and homeboy says they see Miss Reed in the car alone. So my question is, okay, if Miss Reed takes the right and she puts the blinker on and you let her go first and she pulls up first and you pull up behind her, at which point did O'Keefe get out the car and nobody saw him getting out the car? Was it when she first pulled up and he got out? Was it when she moved up a car and a half length, according to them, that he got out? And then, let's just say, at whatever point, the dude got out. Or let's just say, rewind, that you go with the state's theory and she accidentally, drunk, runs her man over, reversing. Okay, so she got text messages that she's texting him. Everything all right? Are you in? Are you inside the party? After she pulls up and is like, yeah, I dropped him off. And look at my phone records. I'm texting him 5-10 minutes later. I'm outside for 15 minutes, 20 minutes waiting. I get no response. I figure, because this is what we normally do, I skate off. He wanted to party with him. So they're all in there. There's 50-some people in there. They're having a good old time. She's like, call me when you're ready and you're done. Just like a lot of them were doing that. To their brothers, sisters, boyfriends, girlfriends. A lot of them were doing that. Pick me up when you're done. Okay, so let's say she does that. She drops him off first. When the dude gets out the passenger seat, if nobody sees them two pull up initially at, let's say, 11:30, 11:45, 12, these people are coming and going. No one sees them after 12 or hears from Mr. O'Keefe after 12, and no one says they see John O'Keefe and they only see Karen Reed's vehicle down over there, and that was around after 11:45 p.m. going into 12 a.m. a little bit after. And she's not denying that she pulled up with him. She's just denying, let's just say, she pulls up. He gets out the car, passenger seat. The house is on the passenger side, is where she pulled up at. Let's say he gets out. The state's theory is that he got out the car and did what? He didn't get out the car and keep walking to the right. He didn't just walk right up to the house, inside the door where he's invited at. No, he gets out the car. They're saying, allegedly, he gets out the car because them two are arguing in the car because Karen Reed wants to go home or some nonsense, and he wants to still go hang out and party for another hour or 2 or 3 with his fellow buddy police officers. And Karen Reed's so upset about that, and she's so psycho and crazy, that when he gets out this car on the right, he's still standing there. He's still standing there, and they're arguing through the window. Like, hypothetically, I'm thinking, could be the only way. They're arguing through the window, and there's snow out on the ground, so you got to kind of march through it, right? And slowly, or it's slippery out, whatever, and so he gets out, and like, it doesn't make sense. Where does he go when he gets out? She says he goes right into the house. I pull up towards near the driveway where everyone is saying, yeah, I saw her car there. And she's like, yeah, I was there. And yeah, I did move up. I moved up as a courtesy. Okay, so when that happened, and everyone says, no, we didn't see this guy O'Keefe in the car. We didn't see him at all. Well, where was he? And then the guy who pulled behind her and pulls around her, and he says, I'm looking like this. I'm in the passenger seat, and I see the black SUV, and I see the dome light is on, and there's a woman inside with blonde hair. Because I'm looking like this as my buddy's driving, and we're passing by. And I'm looking, and I see her, but then I look forward, and I don't see a body. Does that make sense? That don't make sense either. And I'm just saying, at which point did she hit him? Because if she pulls up and he gets out and they're arguing, hypothetically saying that, let's just assume that he gets out and they're arguing, does she pull off and say, F you, all right, whatever, I'm out of here, I'm going to leave your ass here, pulls off? Because the girl, the boy, the dude who pulled off and says he saw her alone in the car, his sister that came out first for 5 minutes, invited them in, but they didn't want to go in. When they take off, that girl says that she didn't see nobody out there or nothing unusual. She goes back in for another hour. When she comes back out is when she jumps in the car with them and they pass by, is when she saw down over there something was a black blot, which she never mentioned. Okay, so let's just assume that that's what Karen Reed was doing. She dropped her man off. He gets out. They're arguing. And she's like, yo, all right, get out. Get out. You know how women are. Get out, get out, get out, whatever. Leave me alone. All right, I'm going. I'm going to leave your ass here. She pulls up 64 feet, stops her car, then sees her man behind her. Now, I counted. It's only about 3 to maybe 4 seconds from where they say her car was to where the hitting was. 64 feet. It takes 3 to 4 seconds going about 14 to 17 miles per hour. To which this person who demonstrated, Mr. Turtle Boy, went out there and demonstrated the reversal. And he said, I only got to like 17 miles per hour. And it was scary. And the first one that he does, you see he loses control because of the curve in the road there, and his Lexus ends up on the curb with grid marks out there because the road curves and turns, and he's gunning it because you have to gun it in order for go with the state's theory. 24 miles an hour, she had to be at this point A, gunning it reversal to 24 miles an hour, which he said he couldn't get there. He needed 7 more miles to go to hit this point. It only took about 3 to maybe 4 seconds. Depends on how you're counting. But I counted about 3. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3. And boom, she's got to be hitting this dude who's 6'4" and plopping him off to the side. If you go with that theory that he was hit and struck by Miss Karen Reed and she takes off or doesn't realize that you mac into somebody, because when this kid demonstrates and he ends up on the curb with the grid tire marks in the daylight during the day, no snow out or nothing. It's a nice shiny day. The other day he went live and did a showcasing of the reversal hypothetical situation. Allegedly, if this was to happen, this is how it would somewhat look. If you go with that theory, first of all, you're losing control at 10, 12, 15 miles, 20 miles, and you're losing control reversing. Whether you're looking in the camera or you're looking like this, because the way the road is, it turns like a J, almost like a J, right? It curves slightly, so he ends up on the curve. And yes, you can somewhat theorize with that, like, okay, I can see how that happened. Maybe the dude got out the car, it's snowy out, whatever, and he was walking in the street, like, I'm going into the crib. And then she is like, all right, mad, whatever, and then guns it. But he would have been hit in the back. Not the front, where all this is damaged and bruised up, right? He would have been hit in the back. Now, SUV Lexus, they're not that high. They're not that tall. I don't know about hers, but 6'2" is that's a pretty tall guy. 200 and some 30 pounds or something like that. That's a big dude. So, if you're going with a theory that the red back, your brake light was broken, that means you're saying, or you're insinuating, that he was macked by the light, which they're doing and did all this forensic DNA on the light pieces that were found months after, when it turned springtime and all the snow was melting. Some superhero patrolman, not even a detective, right? Not even an investigator, a regular police patrolman in that area, in that city and state, comes up and finds this evidence that nobody else found, that they shoveled out the scene at the time, and they're doing investigations for like weeks. They don't find the evidence. Why? Because they're looking for a shoe. That's the biggest main point. The dude's missing his shoe, one of his shoes. He got one shoe on and one shoe off, but they don't find the shoe. The shoe is not around. Okay? So let's just go with that theory that they painted. Like, oh, when you get hit by a car, your body gets flung, and, like, you don't, like, your shoes can come off, etc., and yeah, you can get macked. But in order for him to get macked in the face by the car, the rear view lights, he would have had to be bending over of some sort. Was he tying his shoe? Did he maybe drop his glass to drink and he bent over to pick it up and she's reversing backwards to go try to keep up with him or find him or whatever? But it's kind of hard for you to be backing up at that weather conditions of that amount of speed, not having the control and not even being knowledgeable to have the control right? And for you to not be aware that you're going that fast, and then for you to hit something. When the dude hit the curb, he was like, I hit something. Like he just ran up on the curb. And you hear that. But let's just allegedly go with the theory that he was bent over, picking up something, maybe he was tying his shoe, and she ran up, boom, hit him. Like, you don't think somebody, like she would have to be a sincere killer, heartless killer, and be opted out to want to kill her boyfriend of two years, where everyone said, they were like, some of the older guys were saying, like, the wives were saying to them, oh, well, you should treat me like that. Why you don't treat me like that anymore? You know, like kind of like sarcastically mocking them. Like, oh man, they're so in love, so happy for them. They look so good together. They're really, really happy together. You know, and this is the night of his death. This is on video camera. Everyone's like, nah, everything was cool. Everything was straight. They was all good. Like that theory, man, like that don't make sense. Just like the son, Colin Albert, said how he got the bloody knuckles. You know what this joker said on national television? On national TV. All the media outlets are there, YouTubers, all these people are just investigating and scrutinizing and watching him like a microscope. They ask him, how did you get the bloody knuckles today? He says, I was at one of my friend's house, and he has like a hill of a driveway or a street of the sort. And I was going down the hill, walking down the hill with something in my hand. It was either a beverage, beer, being drunk, or it was his phone. He says, something was in my left hand, and I slipped on the icy weather going downward of the hill, and I put my hand down to brace the fall. That's how I end up with 1, 2, 3, 4 scrapes, to which I told you earlier. 4 scrapes like that is from hitting something, boxing, punching, something. So he definitely lied there. That was clear as day. You do not fall, and your natural instinct is to close. Your natural instinct is to open your hands. But your natural instinct is not to close your hands and go with your fist. And then all 4 are like intact, in order, seemingly like the same. But you scraped them when you went down to brace the fall. Wow. I said, who told him to say that? To which that story was different than the story that he originally said when he was testifying in the secret grand jury investigating indictment. That attorney noticed his hand at that time, like a year and a half, 2 years ago. They brought him in to testify. This is 7 months after they put him in the scene, that they were hiding him out of the scene. He tells the jury there and the attorneys there, what did he say? He said, oh, I was boxing. I must have been boxing. Because they were fresh wounds. Twice he had fresh knuckle wounds, like as if he was beating something. Or training. It could happen during training. But only his right hand, not his left. So he testifies twice. Actually, today was the 3rd time. I think that's what they were saying. Today's the 3rd time that you're testifying about your bloody knuckles in court. 3 different explanations as to why your knuckles were bloody. Correct. Like he's coming across as this very sophisticated, young, good, definitely privileged, like dorky, kind of dorky college kid, right? You're looking at him, he got the button-up shirt, and he got the Lacoste shirt. Those are like $150, $200 shirts, right? He's testifying with the button down and the Lacoste over it, right? Sitting there looking all sophisticated, educated, whatever. And the dude is like, correct. The defense is asking him, correct. Then he's, I don't know. I don't recall. And every time, his response, pretend this is the mic. Every single time he answers a question, he belches up into the microphone and leans back. Correct. I don't recall. He's looking at the prosecutor like, should I answer it? Do I answer? I don't know what to say. I'm supposed to say, I remember going over this, but should I say? So they caught him in several lies, blatant. But the funnier thing to me was the fact that there was a few times that he would nod his head to something being correct. And this is like during a series of questions, he's like, correct. And then a few times it'll be like a pause. Alan Jackson searching for a question of a sustained or how he wants to state a question. It'll be like a little pause. And then Alan Jackson will ask him the question and he'll go, correct. Like he'll do like a head nod, correct. It's almost like a mock or almost like a tick or something, or just a gesture maybe, or like maybe he, in his mind, he taps into a childish kind of like natural, like, because he's pretty stone-faced. The whole hours of testimony, he's like pretty stone-faced the whole time. And all he does is correct. I don't recall. Incorrect. No, I don't know. I don't remember. I don't recall. Okay, so he does all that, and, then he'll just kind of switch at certain questions, and, like, I don't know if anyone else noticed it, but I surely did. He's like, correct. Correct. Like, it's like a childish kind of mental thing there, like ADHD kid or something like that, or the sort, and then after all that, they caught him lying. They caught him in more lies. They said, you're a very preponderance of potential of a violent kid. You're a violent kid. You like to fight. You're a stone cold fighter. Or you're a fake poser. Because for what you're doing online and your history, this kid's about 6'1". He looks on TV, he looks like he's probably about 215, 20 pounds. And then when you see his hands is huge. You can see he works out. You can see he does training. If you know fights, like I know fighters and fights, he's posing like this, that hand's solid. So at 16, 17, 18, 19, all during high school, that kid was training. That kid's hitting the bags. Boston, they love fighting. And then the MMA's from over there, Dana White, all them. That's their city. So the kid's hands is definitely athletic hands, like swollen hands. But yeah, that's what stood out to me, y'all. And I don't know, maybe it stood out to you. But maybe you'll go back and look at it, but yeah, like that right there. And then they prove that because of these videos, he's drunk in the video and he's like saying he's making threats to people. He's saying, oh, they were just that was high school nonsense stuff. And then he testified again the first time, And he said that was his junior or senior year he made those videos. Today, he said it was just like his sophomore year. Why does the answers change after a certain amount of time? Right? It's like, okay, maybe you can get maybe a couple things off, like not so accurate or consistent with what you said a year ago or 2 years ago. But something like this, of this magnitude, and then he tried to belittle the trial and say like he doesn't know about it, he never saw it online, never talked about it, and clearly the kid has been coached. Because they knew when they found out 7 months later that he was, in fact, at that house, at that party where John O'Keefe's body was found. Game over. The parents is looking at it, the dad, the mom, sisters, they're all like, it's game over. They're going to point it at you, especially if you admit, you're like, yep, I'm a fighter, or I might have had some issues with this guy at one point. Like, that's how I would be responding. I would be like, yeah, I'm a young high school kid. I'm a jock. Oh, I thought I was a jock. Or I wanted to be a stud or a jock. I'm on the football team. You know what I'm saying? I'm a quarterback, or I'm a captain, or whatever. I'm a linebacker. Yeah, I like rough. You know, I'm young. I got a full of testosterone. My father's a cop for 30 years. You know? But that, yeah, I was there at the party, and yeah, I made those threats. I was drunk, made the threats, and stupid, and just, it was nonsense, really. But that has nothing to do with me and this guy's body being found out there on the lawn. I didn't do it. Is how I would have been responding. Like, yeah, I box and I train. Yeah, I do. Yep, I play football. Matter of fact, let me tell you. Yeah, I was the captain on the team. Did you know that? I was such a good player, and I was such a leader. My leadership skills were so good that I was the captain of the football team. I was out there taking bodies off the field when I was playing back in high school and college. I went to college too. Played a little bit there. Bodies off the field. Whenever I played, I was a jockey, stud. Oh yeah, I was ready to go to the pros. This is how I would have responded if I was not guilty of a crime that they're alluding based off of this evidence. It's like you already know in your mind, hearing all this come out, especially the way it's coming out now. Had it been originally, if he would have said, oh, I was at the party too. Oh, don't forget, dude was at the party. My little brother was at the party. Had they all said that too, and he got the same investigating time that everyone else got during the time frames everyone else got, you know, it might be different. You might think different. But since you're like, they were hiding 7 months, like nobody would have ever disclosed that that kid was there with bloody knuckles a week later. And all the videos they find of this kid who was clearly a punk and just a, you know, super privileged kid who got away with anything and everything. Like he's like 15, 16, drinking with his friends. Online, making threats, throwing up gang signs, talking shit. Threatening people. Gang, gang, bang, bang, buck, buck, knock you out. I'll do this, that, boom, boom, bow. What? Man. So, you know, when it comes out like that, it's like, yo, dude's guilty. Dude's really suspectively guilty. Like, he don't want no one to know he was there. He don't want to be investigated. He don't want to talk to the nobody. Like, come on. That's crazy. But tell me what y'all think, man. Leave a comment, like, and share if you like listening to my stories talk. I'm your boy in the Champs Corner, Steaming Beaming. Good luck. I'm out.